I recently went back and I rewatched the Wall Street Warriors.
What'd you
Just
think?
the segments with you.
Uh-oh.
And when your mom came and was cleaning your apartment and you're just sitting there on the computer like, thanks, Mom. Okay, put that there, Mom. I showed my wife, she walked in, she goes, this guy's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about like being on these reality TV shows and that image of kind of Tim Sykes the dick?
Most of my friends think I'm a dick. It's true. I can be a dick sometimes. And you have to admit it. You have to fess up. Don't believe everything you see on reality shows. That was very much staged. I kick a fan in this show too. Like, I kicked that fan maybe 20 times. They're like, no, one more take. We need a better kick. The fan actually still works. It was actually pretty amazing. But I go on these reality shows not because like I want to like look like this. Like I accept the way that reality shows are structured. Like the crazier you are, the more volatile you are, the more you get featured. But the reality shows also introduce my story and who I am. Like some parts are staged, but then I also get to share, like, look what I've done, like, look at my life. I've been on the TV show Below Deck a few times. Some good, some bad. And you can't really worry about, when people think that you're a dick. Okay, so I admit it. I'm a self-confessed dick. Get over it. What's next? I'm a dick who can help people. I'm a dick who can probably help you with everything that I've learned. Like, there's a reason why I'm a dick, because you have to be selfish a little bit in this life, I think. I think that I've become less of a dick over the years, but I'm still somewhat selfish. I'm still somewhat, focused on my mission and my goals. And the reality shows really just expose my story and expose what I can do for other people. Like I always bring my students on trips on reality shows, and I warn the students. I was like, they're gonna twist it, they're gonna make us look bad, just deal with it, and they're fine because it's still a unique experience. I mean, on Below Deck, on the first time I was on, I had 3 cameras in my face as I made a trade. I made $70,000 on this trade, and I'm thinking this is gonna be the best TV show ever. Like, we got it live, you can see this. They didn't show any clip of that. And you just see me walking around afterwards so happy, and you're like, what is this guy on? Like, he's so full of himself. They didn't see, the viewers did not see, that was one of my greatest trades ever, and we got it on camera, and they didn't use it. So
does that annoy you when you go on these things, and then they edit and tell the story they want to tell, not the story you want to tell?
But that's reality TV. Like, I'm not in control. I have to know that going in. At first, I was angry. Like, I was like, this is such a great thing. Like, you bastards, like, screwed it up. But at the same time, the $70,000 actually paid for the whole yacht charter. And when I look at it, like, it's not the biggest thing in the world to look like a dick. It's not the worst thing. My students and I basically got a free yacht trip for several days, and I made all the students wear a TimothySykes.com t-shirt, so the advertising was great. There's actually a clause now in the Below Deck thing. It's called the Sykes clause, where you can't wear logo shirts. So I've influenced the world a little bit. You just can't go in thinking like everything is going to be rosy. Like, if you subject yourself to reality TV, like, you play by their rules. It's their little, video game rules. And for better or worse, but that's how they get their big audience. If it was just reality, if it wasn't edited, if it wasn't skewed, no one would watch it. It would be like a normal show. And reality has gotten more and more, reality TV, not reality. Reality TV has gotten more and more extreme. The more extreme the people are on the show, the better it does. Because people are like, oh, look at these housewives, they're insane. And I don't know if you've seen some of these housewives episodes. Like, they're literally sitting here and maybe one of them like looks away for a second, and the other girl is like, why'd you just look away? What does that mean? She's like, I didn't look away. She's like, I know what you did. You looked away. And they're fucking fighting about like one look. And then they bring their friends, and then it's like a whole nother fight. And then maybe like the girl swears to the other one for looking away. And she's like, I did nothing. There's like post interviews, like, I looked away for a second. I had something on my neck. I had to scratch it. And then she's coming at me, and I could tell like she's angry that, I used to sleep with her husband. And it turns into this whole thing. That's reality TV. I haven't been on like the housewife shows, but the reality TV shows that I've done, they do what they want. They spruce it up in their own, interest.
So of all of these things that you've done, we've talked about a lot, what are you most proudest of?
My proudest moment, I guess I mean, it's not just one. Like, you can be happy with your whole journey and your whole goals. Like, I love building schools. I'm proud of the 35 schools. Like, on my deathbed, I'm not going to be thinking about, oh, I miss my Lamborghini. I'm not going to be like caressing my Lamborghini keys. I'm going to be like thinking about all these kids and the communities and the education that my charity has helped. That's awesome. So 35 schools. We'll see until I get to my deathbed. Will I actually build 1,000 schools? My guess is yes. If I build 1,000 schools, maybe I'll build 2,000 schools. That's obviously cool to like donate a lot and help a lot of people. But at the same time, you know, just because you build a school doesn't mean that the kids are going to be useful or successful. So they have to study. And for me, I'm proud to be able to give an education based on stock trading, what I've learned over the years. Like, again, I know how hard it is to not have a teacher, and that sucks. So I'm trying to do something that I didn't have the ability to in the beginning. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm proud that I have several millionaire students, but it's not just about making millions. I have several students who are making 6 figures or 5 figures. Some students who have made nothing, but they now have an education, and they might not lose big because my rule number one is cut losses quickly. So it's about trying to do what you can with what you have. So I have some money, I have some education, and I try to, you know, throw it out to everybody.
When you're with your students, what are the qualities that you see in them that make them successful?
I mean, I have thousands of students now in like 100+ countries. So everybody is different. It's not like, you know, you can clone one person and be like this guy. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses. Everyone has different personalities. Everyone has different schedules, starting amounts, time zones. But the number one thing that I see across all my most successful students are two things: dedication and patience. Dedication, every single day they're grinding. And that doesn't mean trading every day. It means studying every day. Some people are like, why do you have to study? Just give me a hot pick, Sykes. Shut up with the studying. The way to find the best picks, not just hot picks, is studying the past and either getting experience in the present, like, okay, recognizing what the hot trend is and then seeing how that trend performs over the next few days and weeks, or studying the past and saying, okay, this was a hot trend a year ago. This was a hot trend, 2 weeks ago, and saying, okay, how can I use that past information and put it into the present and utilize it in the future? So they're dedicated to studying my video lessons, DVDs. We have 1,000+ archive webinars, not just for me, but my top millionaire students, like live trading webinars. So you can learn from that. And then patience, because most people want immediate success, but this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Like even my top student, Tim Grittani, who's closing in on $5 million in profits now, he's actually surpassed my trading. He wasn't consistently profitable for the first 9 months. So forget about making $1 million for the first 9 months. He wasn't even like profitable for 9 months, and yet he's trying every day. He's tinkering, he's like looking at the market, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. So people need to have the right mindset and perspective. It's a big problem where people think, oh, I've given this 2 weeks, I should be successful by now. In what world is that? On what planet? Like medical school, you have the right perspective. Okay, I have to become a doctor, I have to go to school for several years, if not a decade. To become a lawyer, I need to go to school for like a decade. To become a great sushi chef, I need to be, have a sushi restaurant for like 7 years. In stock trading, people think that it should just come easier. It doesn't. 90% of traders lose. So you need to have the right perspective, you need to have patience, and you need to just grind and understand that this isn't going to be like an enjoyable experience. Some people are like, this is not fun at all. Yeah, no shit. You're trying to learn like something that 90% of people lose on. So if you want to try to beat those 90% of people, like you're going to have to try much harder. And the average person does not study. The average person does not prepare. That's why 90% of traders lose. So you have to be in the minority and you have to prepare, over-prepare.
Are there certain mistakes that your students make that you see them repeating over and over again?
So many mistakes. I mean, it's like endless amounts of mistakes. Otherwise, everybody would be a millionaire. Number one, as I said, like just not having the right perspective, like thinking that it's going to be so easy. Number two, not studying the past, like just ignoring everything that's happened and just say, okay, just give me something that's hot right now. A lot of people message me, they're like, Tim, I'll only study if you give me a pick right now and I'll make money on it. Like they don't believe me. Fuck you, like I don't need you as my student. I'm not begging for students, I'm actually overwhelmed. It's the opposite. I can't make you money when you have no knowledge, okay? Like you can't just be like a pro athlete. Like, Tim, I'm not going to try to become a great baseball player unless I can win the World Series right away. So let me win the World Series, then I'll try. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, you have to put in so much time and effort to be great and to get the odds on your side. Most of my students don't have the odds on their side. Most traders don't have the odds on their side. So even if there's a great play, they're not going to capitalize on it because they don't have the proper training, they don't have the proper mindset, they don't know how to take the proper position size, they don't know how to cut losses responsibly, they don't know how to manage the risk, they don't know how to structure their day. Some of them overtrade. They trade like 10 times a day thinking like, oh, let's trade this, trade this, trade this, and the commissions eat up your account. Almost every student makes mistakes. So there's no one big one. It's a conglomeration.
So you said you've got thousands of students. You're feeling a little overwhelmed by that. How do you spend your day? Like, what do you do during the day, interacting with students, trading stocks, working with charities? How do you find time for all of this?
I need to clone myself. It's banned by the UN right now. I'm trying to get involved with China. I'm kidding. Kind of. No, it's different depending on the time zone. You know, in Europe, it's fantastic. Like, I trade the U.S. stock market, so in Europe, you know, it's like roughly the U.S. opens at 3 p.m. So I can like stay out till like 2 a.m., get up at noon. I mean, it's a good life. Asia is tough. I often hardly get any sleep because the U.S. stock market is open all night. The stock market always comes first, no matter what time zone I'm in. So charity is nice, teaching is nice, but I'm focused on trading, and you know, trading also goes along with teaching. So like every time I make a trade, I'm showing people my screen, I'm alerting it, I'm showing why I think a stock is going up or down, I'm making video lessons, I'm writing blog posts, I'm writing commentary in the chat room. Every day I'm writing a watch list. So no matter where I am, I have to structure my day around the market. Sometimes there's no trades in a day, and I'm thankful for those days. So I don't have to like waste, you know, hours trying to find like one good stock. Some days I just accept there's no great trades. I look forward to those days, and students should too, because they get to study more. You know, everyone always wants a hot play, and they're like, oh, I need a hot play, or like today sucks, there's no hot plays. Like, you have to think about, what if there's a hot play right now? Would you be prepared? And 99% of my students would not be. So they need to prepare more so that they can actually be ready for it. Like, if there is a good play, how do you take a position quickly? What's the proper position size? Do you have a proper plan? Can you manage your risk? So for me, I have all that down, but I'm trying to get my students to do that. So it's two purposes, where I'm making a trade and I'm trying to show my students how to make a trade from wherever they are. And then I just try to fit in charity, and I try to fit in travel, you know, around the market.
Well, but how long are you ever in one place at one time?
Lately, it's like 2 days at a time. I'm like two. Like, I'm in LA for 2 days, then Houston for 2 days, then DC for 2 days, and Turks and Caicos for 3 days. And then Mexico, I'll be there for 3 days, then back in LA for 2 days, then over to Bangkok for 4 days, then Cambodia for 3 days, and the Philippines for 5 days. So that's like my next month.
So I mean, that sounds really volatile, but you're able to maintain this consistent.
Why is this volatile?
Oh my gosh, like normal people being able to just like, you're in one place, you've got some stability, you're teaching lessons, but you're able to maintain that even though you're always moving.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried staying in one place for a while. I'm built opposite. Like, I'm good with like staying in a place for 2 or 3 days. I'm always on the move. Like, I have a hashtag, Jews on the move, or Jews in the jungle, or Indiana Junes, or Jews with views, or Jews in the news. I have a lot of stuff, but I'm trying to just maximize all the opportunity. Like, I have a lot of goals. You know, like, I'm going to Houston not just for the fun of it, because I support a food bank, actually 2 food banks down there, so I want to go see their work. I'm not going to DC just for the crabs. I'm going to meet Bill Clinton. I'm going to Turks and Caicos to support the rebuilding of this new children's home. I'm going to Mexico because I donated to Save the Children. And I'm going to the Philippines because I have a new medical center. I'm going to Cambodia because I have a soccer stadium. Most people have 1 or 2 big projects. I have a lot. And that's how I operate. You know, you have to find what works for you. I don't encourage other people to have this schedule, but it feels right, so I go with it.
What are your goals for the next 5 years?
I mean, I don't even have my next week planned yet. 5 years, I like saying this to students, like, have a 5-year goal, have like a 10-year goal, so it's only natural that I should have this. I want to create more millionaire students. I don't know how many. I'm working every day to try to get there. I want to build 1,000 schools. I have 35 built or in development. So I'm working every day to get there. Like, it's good to have numbers, but at the same time, it forces you and limits you, I think. I mean, in 5 years from now, who knows? I might have 2,000 schools. And I'm not going to stop just because I reach my goal. I have basic missions, and I know the direction that I need to head in, and I know that it's incremental. If you look up like performance goals and goal setting and performance theory, professors Locke and Latham, Edwin Locke and I think it's Gary Latham wrote about all this stuff. And it's really good to have like a difficult goal, like a really something where you're just like, this is going to be so much work. And then every day you work towards that. And by having that big goal, it increases your daily performance 15 to 25%. So to build 1,000 schools is a lot. I mean, Pencils of Promise, which I donated $1 million to, is a charity that's been around for roughly a decade, and they've built like 400 schools. So for me to say, oh, I'm just going to 2.5 times all your work, and they have like a staff of like 30, 40 people. I mean, it's a lot of work to build one school. Yeah. But we have 35 so far, and you know, I encourage everybody to dream big, and then every day, just try and chip away a little bit. Like, I have a lot of stuff in motion. I'm talking with a bunch of different charities. I don't want to just build a school for the sake of building a school. It's not like a numbers game. I'm not like a penny stock pump and dump. Like, the school actually has to be built well. The community has to be involved. You know, there has to be a whole plan. Like, when the school is built, like, how do you keep it open? How do you optimize it? So like with Pencils of Promise, I'm also buying tablets, so that increases the education. And then creating a millionaire student, I know there are some people out there and they're like, I've created a millionaire student, and they show like one screenshot, like $1 million, and you're like, what does that tell me? Like, okay, how do you actually create self-sufficient millionaires? Like, $1 million is good, but it's not enough to like, for your whole life. Maybe some people, but most people I know should want to make more. But getting to $1 million on your own, especially after most of my students start with a few thousand, is a good test. Like, they know what they're doing. And the beautiful thing about all my millionaire students is they don't need me anymore. I'm just training wheels. So when I say I want to create more millionaire students and build more schools, it's more complicated than that, but I have these giant missions that I'm working towards.
Do you have a mentor that you've modeled yourself after, or is this just all coming up from you?
I mean, there are people who have been like building school, like Adam Braun created Pencils of Promise. That's fantastic. I've only talked with him a few times. You know, there are people who have made millions of dollars in the stock market, and I know a lot of millionaire traders. I know several billionaire traders, but they've never really tried to transfer it to other people. Like, most people who teach are those who can't do. I don't think there's anybody who's created as many millionaires as I have, or created as many video lessons as I have. So I think there are people out there that I respect, but not like a mentor. Like, I'm kind of forging my own path, and that's just who I am.
So
like,
be your own mentor.
I mean, it's good to get a mentor. I wish I had a mentor. I wish there was somebody who had built 1,000 schools, and then they could be like, here's what you have to do. Yeah. Like, I'm just kind of I'm like forging on a dark path, and I don't know what's going on, and I stumble sometimes. I think finding a mentor always helps you achieve your goals quicker. It reduces your learning curve, but we're in a new day and age now with the internet. Like, you know, teaching has never really been this easy. Like, you know, normally you have to teach like in person. Like, I'd have to go every day. I could only teach like 20 people, 30 people at a time. Now I can teach thousands of people. This is a technology that's only, you know, 5 years old. Building all these schools on a massive worldwide basis. I mean, this is only happening in the past decade. So we're in this new world, and I think that people out there should try to find mentors who have done stuff, but at the same time recognize that this is a totally different time. And if you take like these kinds of crazy paths that I'm taking, like, it's tough.
So you mentioned that you've created these millionaire students, and you've got students that are successful 6 figures, 5 figures, and oftentimes they're starting with only a couple of $1,000s. What about the students that don't have a couple of $1,000s to start with? What do you advise people that want to get into this, but they don't quite know how to start?
Yeah, I get a lot of people who are just like dead broke, and they're like, hey, I love your stuff, but I can't do anything. Like, I don't have any money. Like, even if I knew everything, I couldn't trade. watch my YouTube videos. I have nearly 1,000 videos now free on YouTube. Read my free book, An American Hedge Fund. Watch my free guide, traderchecklist.com. I have so many free resources that you can still build your knowledge up and eventually try to save. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in the stock market today or next week or next month or next year or 5 years from now. I would prefer it actually if students just focused on studying for the first year and made no trades. That's tough to do when you have money because you're like spending time on studying. But if you have no money, then you have no excuse not to study. You know, if I didn't have any free videos, I would understand. But I have so many free videos that they should watch this and they should learn from good trades and bad trades. And I have videos with my top students and, you know, mistakes. I have some live trades. Well, yeah, I posted entire webinars. It's not always just about the stock market. It's just learning about the world. If I had no money, I would just digest everything and take endless notes. And meanwhile, I'd be trying to save up in the background so that I could open up a brokerage account. I mean, E-Trade is a broker that I use. The minimum is like $500. So it's very easy to open up a brokerage. There's a broker called Robinhood, which is free commissions. I don't think there's any minimum, but they are the worst broker. If you cheap out on your stuff and your education, it'll cost you more in the long run. You know, I know a lot of people that are like, hey, Robinhood, I know they suck, but I'm still going to do it. Well, you will hurt yourself by having terrible executions. You'll hurt yourself by not, you know, getting into this battlefield with the right equipment. I mean, the stock market is a battlefield. And if you come to the battlefield with just a knife and everyone else has guns, you will get destroyed. So you get basically a miseducation if you come unprepared, like with Robinhood. So it's very tempting to just want to start trading. There's no commissions, there's no fees. You will lose, and you will, worse than losing money, you'll have a wrong outlook on how hard it is to make money because you weren't prepared.
What would you do differently if you were starting over? You were starting your journey right now in 2017.
If I was starting right now, I mean, you wouldn't see me go outside for many months at a time. I would just be digesting the internet. Seriously, like everything is on the internet. I learned everything on the internet. Now there's even more tools. I mean, I was pre-video.
You could go outside on your phone.
No, I don't want any.
You got to be on a laptop?
I don't know. It's not about that. I just don't want any outside interference or influences. Like, I need to be focused. It's not just about how many hours like you pay attention to something. Like, I know some people, they're like, oh, they're half paying attention to my video lessons and they're like working. Like, you need to really appreciate, you know, a subject. You need to really get obsessed with it if you truly want to be successful. So I just wouldn't go out, and it's all on video. So the one expense I would have is like either a laptop or a smartphone or a computer or whatever, and then, you know, internet access. Or you could just go to your local library. Most people don't realize the local library, like, you can get internet access. You don't need to buy a computer. You would find me at the library nonstop.
What about college as an expense? If you had it to do over again, would you go to college?
College.
Is college necessary?
Oh, this is a tough question. College is good for you. Like, it, you know, it gives you connections. Like, you kind of have a structured education, even if it's not the most useful education. It exposes you to a whole bunch of different theories and teachings and different people. And it's fun, you know, like, let's not discount the fact that, like, you need to have a little fun in life. It's not just about education. So I think college serves its purpose. At the same time, I don't think it's required. I don't think that you need to go to college. I don't think you need to pay, like, I mean, some colleges are like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. I mean, I think that's just insane. And student loan debt never gets wiped out. Even if you declare bankruptcy, like, you still have to pay this. So you're actually getting punished.
I'm aware.
Yeah?
I am aware.
You still have student loan debt?
Oh, yeah, I've got student loan debt.
How many decades ago was this?
Decades ago? How
Yeah.
old do you think I am? No, decades.
70?
Yeah, probably 12 years, maybe more. Yeah. But
Do you regret going to college?
no. No.
Which college did you go to?
I went to Indiana University.
Hoosiers.
That's right.
It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And you have a great basketball team, so you learn, like, team sports and
Yep.
you learn, like, camaraderie. And did you win a national championship while you were there?
No, but Bobby Knight got fired.
Okay, cool. There you go. Yeah. It's while you were there, or just
Yeah,
recently?
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
When he threw the chair, or was this before? or was after?
No. There was some. He did something with some student.
I
and some
gotcha.
student went and tattled on
I
him.
gotcha. I think college is good for people, but at the same time, you have to watch the costs, and it's not for everybody. You don't need it. I would much rather my students learn on the internet. You can learn so much. Just learn from like good people. A lot of teachers all over the world are those who can't do. Like they're mediocre people. Like they're below average in terms of success and knowledge and experience. And why should they be influencing you? Like learn from people who have made it. Like there's a lot of people online who have made it and we want to give back. And that's who you should learn from. Like why learn from somebody who is a failure? I don't understand.
Okay, so we talked about failure a little bit. Tell me more. I mean, because if somebody doesn't go to college and they're trying to start in life, they get involved with stocks, they're going to lose. I mean, you said before 90% of people fail in trading. So what kind of mindset? What do you want to tell them to do when they experience that failure?
There's different forms of failure and loss. I don't think it's 90% of people lose everything, but they just lose.
Yeah,
so
sure,
if
right.
you lose 10% of your money, that sucks. If you lose 100% of your money, that's worse. I don't think the stats are very clear on that. It's just the fact that, think about it as a way of 90% of people don't make money. Forget about growing your money exponentially. They just can't even grow 1,000 into like 1,200. So I would say focus on learning strategies where you have this potential like moonshot type returns. Like for me, if I started the year with like 2,000 and I ended the year with 4,000, I would consider that a failure. Even though I would have doubled my money, and to most people that's the best thing. But I've seen what 2,000 can do. I just featured a student on my blog who's turned 2,000 into 130,000 in 1 year. So what can you do? I mean, what is possible? Well, amazing things are possible, and I'm proud of every student that does it because it helps me prove my point that we're all different. We're not all trading the same stocks, and we're all growing our accounts exponentially. So that is possible. But to those people who lose, those people who fail, they're not learning enough. They're not practicing enough. If you have very little money or you're scared, or if you lose money, go into paper trading. If you use stocks to trade, you can basically use like fantasy cash. If you go to stockstotrade.com, open an account and just practice with fake money. And you don't get the full education. You don't get what it feels like to put money on the line, but at least you can practice with the stock's volatility and see how these stocks go up and down and stuff like that. There's so many different forms of success and failure in the market. And what you have to learn is that you probably will fail or lose a little in the beginning, the first week, first month, first year. But what can you do to develop good habits? I think too many people judge based on the money they make or lose. Like I know some people where they make money, but it is a bad habit. Like they hold on to this stock, they were down 50% on their money, and they're like, you know what, I'm past the point of no return, I'm just gonna hold. And then the stock comes back and they're like, see, I should hold. And then they learn to hold stocks when they're down 50%, and then maybe 2 out of 10 actually come back. So they're learning a very low odds strategy, which is gonna hurt them in the long run, even though they make money 2 times out of 10. I would rather them cut their losses 6 or 7 times out of 10 and lose like $50, lose $20, lose $50. And even though you have like a losing percentage, one good trade, if you cut your losses, can wipe out all the small losses. So it's kind of crazy defining success and failure. I'm not good at math. It's not a math game. It's about developing good habits and understanding that this is a process. There's a reason why I say this is a marathon, not a sprint, because you might be losing in the beginning, but you're developing good habits and you're learning what not to do so that eventually you can win.
So how do you define success then?
Success is freedom. Success is happiness. Success is, building your own dreams rather than somebody else's. Like I'm very fortunate to have made enough money where I can travel when I want, as much as I want, and give back to charities and take care of my loved ones and my family. You have to define what works best for you. What makes you successful? It's not just about money. I know so many miserable millionaires and miserable billionaires, and society would define them as successful. And yet they have prescription pills, like drug and alcohol problems, like mistresses, broken relationships. I mean, money can do a lot of bad stuff in life too if you handle it wrong. And just because you might have a lot of money, that does not mean that you're successful. I also know a lot of people that are so happy and they don't have much money, okay? So it's crazy what you see when, I've been to over 100 countries. You discover a lot about different people and different cultures. Money is nice if used in the right way and thought about in the right way.
So these things that you're saying, do you find that it holds up with all these different countries? You know, you travel to 100 different countries. Is it the same measures of success and failure there that you see as here?
Yeah, I mean, different cultures prioritize money and different things. Pretty much everywhere, if you have like a nice car, you're considered successful. So technically, I guess I'm considered successful. I don't even drive my cars that much. Like, they're fun when I'm in Miami, but I'm traveling all over the place. I think that most people are more alike than they realize. Like, no matter the culture, no matter their background or religion or upbringing, we all want to be loved. We all want to be happy. We want our loved ones to be taken care of. We have family values, most of us. It's crazy to compare and contrast different cultures and different foods and different people and different values. But when it all comes down to it, like, no matter what God you believe in, or, you know, no matter what job you believe in, like, we're all human beings. And it's kind of crazy that we don't see this. And most people are very isolated and feel lonely and kind of narrow-minded, like, oh, God, you're from the Arab world, or oh, you're from America. And it's like this competition. And when it shouldn't be, like, in a perfect world, you know, we'd all live harmoniously. Obviously, that's not the real world. But I'm a philosophy major. I like to think of things a little different. And I think, actually, if more people traveled, they would see that we're a lot more similar. And if people could experience different stuff with an open mind, as opposed to just saying, like, I'll go there, but I hate this person, or I hate what they believe in. Like, there shouldn't be that much hate. Like, we should accept each other's differences. And it's actually a good thing. Like, if everyone thought the exact same thing and looked alike and ate the same, like, it would be boring, okay? That wouldn't be life. That would be like, you know, there was a movie Pleasantville, and they all started rebelling.
So of all these hundreds of countries and different cultures that you've seen, pick one. What's your favorite?
I was just trying to talk about how, like, we can all live in harmony.
I
Why
know.
does it have to be one? I love Japan. I'm obsessed with Japan. I love sushi. I love the way they think. I love not knowing what's going on if I'm walking into, like, a restaurant or, like, you know, someplace where I'm going to get my hair cut, because I don't speak Japanese. I don't know the letters. It's a fascinating culture. But I also love, you know, Italy and Greece. I was just in Australia for a few days. I love Australia already. I love South Africa. I love the Caribbean islands, Turks and Caicos. I'm going there in a few days. Mexico, you know, it's all in America. I love California, Miami, and New York. Every place has its own, you know, attributes. Caribbean gets a little boring after a while. Italy, I get a little fat after a little while. Japan, I get very tired after a while. I mean, they're all pros and cons, but I just love the exploring. I love the process, and I love trying out different stuff at different times of the year.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. I mean, I hear you've got a book coming out on January 1st this year.
I promised Lewis Howes in an interview that I was going to have a book, because I'm writing 3 books right now, and they're in different processes of finishing and, you know, different progress. So January 1st, 2018, I will have one of them done, and I have to hand it to Lewis. This is my New Year's resolution. I have a lot of projects, so I'm behind on a few things. I'm sorry that I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm trying not to get sick. But January 1st, 2018, I will have one of my books will be done.
Awesome.
So.
Great. All right. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Hey, Tim Sykes, Millionaire Mentor and Trader. Thank you for watching my videos. I hope that they help you. I want to share everything that I've learned over the years. You can check out more videos right over there. And also click subscribe so that you can watch all of these videos, get that knowledge, and become my next millionaire student.